Okay, we just did a video that shows how to take this fire control unit for the P320 apart. Now we're going to see if we can do the hard thing and get it back together. So first we have our trigger housing here. Make sure the spring is still in place over there. Putting that in, this is obviously really easy to get in. You just have a roll pin. Just goes into the side. I'm just going to line this up. Okay. All right, so that's back in. And our spring is still in place there, our takedown spring. So you got to watch that right there, because that'll pop out on you. All right, next we have kind of the tricky part for reassembly: the striker and sear, and the sear and the striker safety, and then the takedown safety. All right, taking our two striker sear springs. So we can put these in, have them stay on for us long enough that we can put everything else together. Okay, hopefully these will stay for me. Let's go right up there. Can't really get very much light. There we go. See, I'm going to need to be back up against that wall, but we're going to move them for a second here. We're going to put in now the striker safety arm, which to me kind of looks like it's going in backwards, but here we go. Just sliding that in there. Just to the side opposite of the takedown safety. Okay. And our sear springs are still mostly in there. So that's good. Nope, one of them fell out. See if we can get him back into place. So by a long shot, trying to mess with these is the most difficult part of reassembly. Okay, our springs are down there. We have our safety arm more or less in place. Let's see if I can get the takedown safety in now, and actually that takedown safety holds in the sear pretty well. So just like how we took it out, I'm going to put it in here, a little bit of an angle, and then shove it in here. You have to be actually really careful of this spring that's in here, because if you're not, then you end up bending your takedown safety spring. And I'm just going to take my pick and just push that safety spring out of the way. That just lets, if you have this sear depressed far enough, which I don't. There we go. That should actually hold that sear in. Okay, there we go. Okay, springs are still in there. See those? Everything's looking pretty good so far. And now I'll go ahead and start working on the pins. All right, pins is actually a little bit easier. First one, line up the striker, the trigger housing. There we go. And this just goes through the sear and then to the other side of the trigger housing and through the fire control unit. There we go. Trying to get the sear up in the right position. Just like that. There we go. Okay, pushed in real easy now. And our springs are still looking good. So our sear springs back here. So good to go there. Then we have our other spring here, which holds in the safety arm. That goes in, of course, on the opposite side. I'm going to use pick or a punch to straighten out that safety arm, the striker safety arm. Yeah. And you have to mess the sear a little bit too to get it in. So there he's in. Now we actually need to back that same large pin that we just put in out just a little bit so we can get the spring in there for the safety lever arm. So I'm going to push this large pin right here out until I can see that it just clears out through the FCU body and just comes past, so it's just barely, so the safety arm is barely hanging on. Then I got my little pin right here, my little spring. That I'm going to set in place. There it is. And this actually goes in a lot easier than you might think. which is really refreshing. Okay. It's like not quite there yet. Need to push this pin in a little bit more. There we go. That spring really just falls right in there when you have that pin out of the way. I'm just going to line it up using a pick so I can see through the hole. Going to line it up. I'm going to start to apply pressure from the rear on that large pin. There it goes until it just starts to pop right through. There we go. So that little spring is in now. And hopefully our striker safety arm is going to be working. It does. That lifter is now working. All right. So we got all that. I'm going to put some extreme duty gun oil on this while I got it down. Okay. That's all the hard stuff back there. Obviously, I took long enough doing it. Okay. We're going to assemble the rest of it now. Starting with the slide catch. Spring goes on the bottom of the slide catch. So I'm going to turn it upside down while I put it in. There we go. Really simple. Line up the holes, push it through. That's it. Slide catch is now installed. Okay, and now we have our trigger bar to deal with. Have trigger bar, a little bit more lube on this FCU. Again, the trigger has to go in at an angle. It needs to slide in about like this. If you try to go straight on, or if you try to come from the bottom, it won't go in. So it slides in at this angle. So here we go. And I lost my trigger bar. Trigger bar should be at the bottom. Okay, just hold that on there until you get the trigger bar, the rear of it, up and into this the trigger housing there. Okay. There's that. Now we have the spring. Just do it the opposite way. I'm going to start this the smaller end and I'm going to hook the large end right into there. So same deal. Got my pliers. And hook this right in here. There it is. Okay, and last but not least, the trigger stop pin that goes in right behind the trigger there. All right, let's see. Okay, lifters coming up, the safety, striker safety lifter. Sears functioning, and let's see, get that in the housing here. Put it back in, it's easy to put it in trigger guard first, or trigger first into the trigger guard hole. And then the rear, there that goes. There it goes. It's a lot easier to get this in if you make sure that you have your takedown safety reset and pushed back into the housing, and sometimes that requires pushing up on the firing control or on the slide release. See it pop down there. So if you can push up on that to get it started so it can clear the slide release or the slide catch, then it makes it a little bit easier. So that's in its safe position. Takedown lever goes in just like that. Slide comes on. And takedown lever goes down. Slide goes forward. Okay. Here we go. We have a functioning P320 carry again. That's it. Hope it's helpful.